Hi, this is Neal Morse, and you're listening to Sonic Perspectives.
I smell Scott Medina.
Hi everyone, and welcome to another interview of Sonic Perspectives. I am Rodrigo Altaf, and here with me today are all members of the Neal Morse Band. Randy George, Eric Gillette, Bill Hubauer, Mike Portnoy, and the main man himself, Neal Morse. Guys, it's great to have you here in Toronto, and I'll start with a question for Randy. How's the tour going so far?
Oh, the tour is going great. We're having a great time meeting new people. We love it.
And you guys had a day off between the show in Montreal and tonight's show in Toronto. Mike, what did you guys do in those days?
You guys, well, there's five of us here. We all did different things. I did absolutely nothing. I never left my hotel room. I ordered DoorDash, room service 3 times, watched about 6 hours of TV, and went to sleep.
You all seem tired, man.
Yeah, I mean, like we were just saying before you were rolling, like, yesterday was the first, at least for me, the first real day off since tour rehearsals. And even then, I came straight from Metal Allegiance and straight from the Sons of Apollo recording session. So yesterday was literally my first day off since like January 5th, I think. So it's been, I'm exhausted.
Oh, wow. And you're obviously trying to promote the new album, The Great Adventure, your second double album in a row. My question to you, and maybe Eric can chime in, how did Neal convince you guys once again to release a double album?
Ooh, I don't know. It just kind of happened, I guess. We definitely didn't set out to do it, but you know, these things kind of just become what they want to become musically, and especially when you started lyrically following some ideas that were based off of that, it just kind of took us that direction. Yeah.
Okay, and maybe now for Bill. I may be biased, but from my perspective, comparing the Grand Experiment, Similitude, and the new album, it feels that the new album is one where the band feels more like a collaborative unit. Would you agree?
I keep hearing that. Actually, I felt like it's been fairly collaborative from the Grand Experiment. I think.
Yeah, that's true.
I really don't. I know people feel like it. People will say, "Oh, it sounds more collaborative," and maybe it does. Maybe just because we're learning how to work together more efficiently. But I felt from the first album that it was really collaborative.
I see. And I did speak with Neal late last year, and he mentioned that many versions of the album were discussed. From a commercial standpoint, it's not the best decision to have a double album, following another one. But at the end of the day, do you feel it was the right thing to do? Maybe Mike can chime in.
Well, I don't think this band functions based on what's going to be commercially, popular or successful. We make this music based completely on artistic values. I mean, we make the music that we feel is going to move the needle and move people, their emotions, and obviously we're writing like 30-minute songs, so maybe it isn't a commercial good idea to put out 2 double concept albums in a row, but I think artistically you can't have a more artistically satisfying result. I think we've made 2 of the greatest albums we could ever dream of making. So that's what it's about for us.
All right. And a question for Neal. There are many melodies and lyrics that appear more than once in the album, something that a lot of other bands employ, other prog bands employ. Where do you guys draw the line to avoid the album as a whole to become like too repetitive sometimes? Do you guys think about that consciously, or?
Well, we work on that together as a band. Mike particularly is really good at kind of laying out all the ideas. He gets like a board and puts it all out there. And we look at, if there's a main theme, like something we consider to be a main theme, we really want to mention it at least. We'd like to mention it 3 times. Somewhere in the beginning, somewhere in the middle, and somewhere at the end. We don't always succeed at that, but that's one of the great joys that I have in working on these kinds of albums is, I almost want to announce it when we hit certain sections. Fun with themes. It's like you got the evil theme going in the back, and then the minor version of the Warsaw theme. Da, 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 da. It's like, I wonder if they get it. I want to say, yeah, that's the Warsaw theme, but I don't know. I don't know if everybody gets it. And then you come in with the string part doing what we called the Who theme, I think, or whatever.
We did do an audio commentary for the album, which Neal put out on Inner Circle, and that was an opportunity for us to listen to the album and point out the variations and the reprises and the foreshadowings, and so yeah. So we did get to yell out Fun with Themes on this commentary.
But I want to get back to the first question. I want to tell you what I did.
Go ahead.
On my day off.
Go ahead. Right. I'm curious.
The one person that answered is the one guy that did nothing.
He did nothing. I got into the room pretty early, which was really nice. I did the Inner Circle letter first, and then I went and got an Ethernet, really long Ethernet cable, so I can hopefully, we're going to see if it works today. Have a guy actually change my programs from off stage, so I don't have to do all that Chuck E. Cheese stepping around. And I finished a song that I started for my wife on Valentine's Day called Love of My Life. And then this morning I started a song called The Observer.
Very cool. Very cool. Duly noted. And
I guess Neal had a way more productive day than I did.
I guess so. I can tell.
I answered a lot of emails.
At the same time, I mean, the bar is set very high from now on. Maybe Randy can chime in. Do you guys think the fan base will feel kind of underwhelmed if the next album is not a double one?
Well, I hope not, because the next album isn't going to be a double one.
That's what we said last time. Next album will be a triple album.
Yeah, well, no, I think that you have to just be honest about what you're doing and let the chips fall where they may. You can't write based on what you think the fans are going to think, because, you wouldn't have very much good music that way.
It's a lose-lose game.
Yeah. I think that whatever we do next, we will try to steer clear of trying to sound the same, at least the same as Similitude or The Great Adventure. I think we would probably just try to write different kinds of songs, maybe not so much a concept album, who knows. We won't know for sure until we delve into it. These things just sort of happen spontaneously once we set out to do it.
Okay.
But we're very conscious of that. We try not to sound the same,
Okay.
I mean, if it's inescapable, then so be it. That we do try.
So there are no ideas already being thrown in?
Well, we have some ideas, but nothing that's what we would consider, to be terribly productive at this point.
Okay.
We're just touring this album and enjoying it right now.
I see.
Yeah.
And sometimes we have leftover ideas that, not because they weren't good, just we can't fit them all in. And for example, Dark Melody from the new album was actually written for Similitude and didn't get used.
Oh, okay.
So we found a new home on the new album. So sometimes we start with what did we, what was left on the floor last time, and see if it is worth, starting with.
Uh-huh. In total, you'll be doing approximately 50 shows in North America and Europe, and you guys also did the Cruise to the Edge. Right now, would you say there's a chance of getting more dates added, particularly in places like Asia and South America, or is that wishful thinking?
Yes, we're still working on a South American run, maybe Mexico City too. It's being worked on. It's a very tricky thing to do because it's not cheap to bring us down there.
Of course not.
But we are still working on it. It's not a dead horse yet.
Okay. And I noticed in your touring schedule that once again there's a date in Tilburg. You guys have a live album recorded there. Transatlantic also recorded there a few years ago. Flying Colors as well. You must have a connection with that place. What's so special about the venue and the city? Maybe Mike? Because you've been there like countless times, right?
Yeah, well, Neal and I, like you just said.
Yeah.
And we've done so many live albums there. I mean, the Dutch are a great audience for progressive music. They really respond to it very well. Even when I was in Dream Theater, the Netherlands were one of the biggest markets for us. So yeah, they love progressive music, but the reason we always do these live videos there, the honest answer is because they have a built-in production. They have a recording facility and a filming facility. At least that was for the earlier releases we did. But yeah, it's always a great audience. I mean, to me, that first transatlantic DVD that we did there, I guess it was the Bridge Across Forever tour.
Yeah.
That night was one of the most remarkable experiences I've ever had, where like, you know, we played a 3-hour show, and then we left the stage and they kept calling for an encore for a good 20 minutes. I mean, I was already, I think, getting in the shower and stuff, and they were still going.
Drive my car.
So we had to go up and play. So yeah, they're just one of those audiences that really have connected with, you know, everything that we do, you know.
Yeah. Very cool. And speaking
That being said, I'd love to not do the live album there this time, just because we've always
change.
done
So many.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to do
Spock's
one
Beard,
somewhere
that's
else.
the Spock's Beard days.
Yeah,
I think
or-
Spock's Beard shot too.
And even Shattered Fortress, we filmed. I didn't release it yet, but that was the one show that we did film and record. So, yeah, I mean, as great as it is, it would be nice to get this band represented somewhere other than Tilburg and Morse Fest.
Yeah, I'd love to do it in Buenos Aires.
Yeah, if you want my advice, do it in South America. I'm from Rio, by the way, so I'm biased. But anyway, a question for Eric. Speaking of the Cruise to the Edge, I can definitely see the value in a cruise like that for the fans. Like, it's a chance to interact in a more, you know, direct and intimate kind of way. But for the artist, what's the interest? What's the attraction of Cruise to the Edge?
For me personally, it's like the camaraderie. You get to know a lot of these other band members or other bands that you might not, like, you hear of a lot, but like now we're like, it's almost like a big family. Everyone gets together, and you know, it's all the same kind of music, and it's just cool. It's like a big hang for a week with a bunch of people with the same kind of music in mind. And for me, I mean, obviously the playing the music's great, but getting to interact and make connections, and that's probably one of the best parts about it.
Plus, our wives will actually go.
That helps.
One of the coolest things about Cruise to the Edge is that you get fans from all over the world. It's like all the hardcore fans from all over gather in one place. So it's really its own unique audience as well. And that's a very cool thing.
Yeah. You also did Tom Sawyer with the Haken guys. Still, after all those years, Tom Sawyer is it challenging for you? Is it cool for you to play? Because you played in many Rush tributes before, right?
Well, coincidentally, they asked me to play Tom Sawyer, and coincidentally, only about a month prior, I had just recorded it with a 50-piece steel orchestra. So the drum parts were still very, very fresh in my brain. But even when I revisited for the steel drum thing, you know, I hadn't played it in 25, 30 years, but those early Rush albums are embedded in my brain forever. I mean, I learned those albums inside and out. And, yeah, but when I did the steel drum thing, it was being recorded and it's going to be released, and I know Rush fans are going to critique it. And I did Tom Sawyer, YYZ, and Spirit of Radio, and I had to nail them. You know, you can't really stray from those iconic drum parts. So I had to really refresh my memory and make sure I nailed them. I didn't want to like have too many liberties with it.
Yeah. When's that coming out, by the way?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I'm not
It
sure.
wasn't announced yet.
Yeah.
And with so much on your plate, Mike, do you sometimes wake up thinking, oh, okay, today I'm playing with the Wonder Dogs. Oh, no, it's a Neal Morse Band. Does that happen at all? Or
It happens all the time. I mean, there's been, I could give you at least, you know, 5 or 6 times in the last couple of years where I've gone from 3 different bands within like one weekend, you know, literally. And it's a lot of music. It's a lot of music to retain, and but somehow I'm wired for it, I guess, you know.
Yeah. And, well, going back to the Neal Morse Band, Bill, what would you say is the most challenging vocal part or vocal harmony to play this time?
Well, all of them.
All of them.
Yeah, Bill will sing all the high parts. The one I would probably say it's the end of disc 1, Beyond the Borders, because it's high, and the higher it is, the harder it is sometimes to put the emotion into it. So trying to find the balance of you know, hitting the notes and getting the emotion, and then sometimes trying to get. And we talk about this. Sometimes you want to feel the emotion when you're singing it, but sometimes if you feel it a little too much, it becomes hard to sing. You really start to get emotional.
Yeah.
And it's hard to do it. So you try to find every night. It's like trying to find that right balance, and that's the hardest part for me. But I'm still every night. It's like I think, I'm trying to do it better than last night. But I'm getting there.
You can always do what I do. Just fall apart and ask them to help.
Yeah. Sing with me.
Right.
Help me.
Good trick, man. Good trick. The show's a very long one, which kind of makes it impossible to have an opening act. If you could bring one, which band would it be? Who wants to reply? Whoever wants to reply.
Well, we have had opening acts on the Grand Experiment tour. We had Haken out for some shows and Beardfish. So it's just the nature of this tour and the previous tour. When you're doing your concept album, it's a long show, and we kind of want to present it like a theatrical experience. But in answer to your question, if we had, I guess I'm not answering the question. So if we were having one for this tour, I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't thought of it. What would it be?
I mean,
I guess I would vote for the See Within.
See
If
within?
we were going to have something.
Make it happen,
That'd be
please.
but it ain't gonna happen because we don't want an opening band
No.
for this tour. There's a reason we don't have an opening band. It's not conducive for this tour. Yeah.
Yeah. And let's talk about Vanity Fair for a second, particularly the line, let's put some pizzazz back in your pentacle pantry.
There you go, Randy.
Yeah, because Randy sings that part. What exactly does that mean, and how does that fit the story?
Watch his face.
Excuse me, sir.
Eyes.
What does it mean? Well, first of all, I don't sing it.
You say
It's
it.
spoken.
Yeah.
Second of all, what it means is go out and get some clothes or do something, because right now it just ain't happening. That's what it means.
And he can always look at me sincerely and say that.
Do the redneck voice, man. I can't let you go.
Oh, hi, man.
Excuse me.
That's actually a different one.
Put some pizzazz in your pentacle pantry.
Just saying. Just saying.
We gotta do that in Dallas, man. Dallas is the place.
Not gonna happen. That's what my family will be. They're like, what is he doing?
Excuse me, sir.
Are you getting it?
And, Eric, have you thought of eventually doing a DVD with a run-through of your solos for the Neal Morse Band?
Oh, I haven't. There's been so much on my plate. It's always... I mean, on top of all this, I played with Mike and Jordan on the cruise doing the instrumentally, so it's like all of that hours of music has been like my only focus. So really, I haven't thought about much at all, except for now focusing only on this. But that's a good idea.
How did that feel, by the way, to play instrumentally with a
Amazing.
very
Surreal.
special guest?
Very surreal, but yeah, it was great.
I only saw the YouTube video, but I can tell like the emotion from the audience there.
Oh yeah,
Just
it was
seeing,
great.
you and Jordan connecting for the first time in so many years, right?
Well, I knew Eric would nail it. I mean, that's why he did the Shadow Fortress tour with me, and that's why when I played LTE for my 50th birthday, Eric did that as well. So Eric's gotten to play LTE music with me, Jordan, and Tony at this point.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, it was great reconnecting with Jordan. Of course, that was very, very, very emotional and just felt really, really good. And I'm glad the fans got to experience it too. Yeah. But yeah. Eric was there. I didn't even think twice about it, asking anybody else. That was always Eric's gig to be had.
Very cool. Well, back again to the Neal Morse Band. Don't try to lay no boogie woogie on the Kings of Rock and Roll. Why is it not boogie woogie and boogie woogie?
There was this band that I saw, and I don't even know. Maybe they didn't say that. I mean, I was like 13, and I was in Coos Bay, Oregon. My family built a house near there when I was a young teenager, and we went to some music store, and there was this band, like a Led Zeppelin wannabe, and they did their sort of halftime version. In my mind, I don't know if this is even true. In my mind, they did this halftime. Don't try to lay no boogie woogie on the king of rock and roll. Bam, bam, bam. That's all I remember. And they had very tight clothes, but and very high shoes.
Oh,
Very high shoes. Yes, would have been 1973. Anyway, I don't know. how to explain it any better than like everything from my life, like music comes in and it comes out in really weird ways. And I don't know why I was thinking about them walking away, sort of like a fade out, like in The Wizard of Oz, of them just like, okay, now he and his friend are now walking into a fade to black, and they're feeling good about themselves, and they're feeling like they've got it nailed now, you know. And so I thought of this, don't try to lay no bougie woogie on the kings of rock and roll, but I don't know why. I mean, I don't know why I thought of it.
It's sort of like don't try to bring me down.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean that's the idea.
Yeah.
And it's like, don't, you know, yeah, we've got this, and you can't bring us down, basically.
Yeah.
You know, as they're fading away. So.
All right. Cool.
And there was a period of time where people were saying bougie. The English guys I would go see play that would open up for, I don't know, like there was a group called Wild Turkey that opened up for Black Sabbath, and I think the guy said bougie. It's just stayed with me.
That's great. And Bill, you're a proficient instrumentalist, and you've already played soprano, saxophone, oboe with the Neal Morse Band. Aside from keyboard and vocals, are there any instruments you want to bring to the table that you haven't brought out yet?
I don't know. I don't know. I have a small hammered dulcimer at home. I thought would be really cool on some stuff. I used to play it. I haven't played it for probably 10 years though. But I used to be pretty good at it, and I thought that would be fun to work out and do some kind of weird thing.
I'll get a didgeridoo.
Yeah. But
We're set.
But it's didgeridoo.
But it's so hard to travel with all that stuff. I'm so happy actually. I'm torn. I'm just playing keyboards on this tour, and it's nice not to have to mess with all the extra stuff.
Wait, what have you played with us? You besides keyboard, you played
Violin, guitar,
clarinet, sax. Did you play flute, or am I imagining that?
No, I didn't play flute.
Okay, so sax, clarinet,
Violin and guitar.
Violin. When was
On the first tour, violin.
Yeah, I think we need to incorporate all that stuff.
Hurdy-gurdy.
Next record.
Oh, hurdy-gurdy. There we go.
Hurdy-gurdy.
I'd love to do that. I don't have one though. Someone buy me one.
I didn't know that was a thing. I thought it was just a song.
No, it's a real thing.
It's an instrument.
It's awesome.
Yeah. Well, at the risk of spoiling the surprise, for those who haven't seen the show yet, the second part of the show is a collection of songs from Neal's lengthy career. How did you guys pick those songs, and did everyone have a say in it, or?
Bill?
Well, Mike had the concept, and I'm not a big fan of. Am I allowed to do spoilers? Can I do spoilers?
Go ahead.
I'm not usually a big fan of medleys, but it was a conceptual medley, so I got on board. It was chronological, one part of one song from every album in order. So I could get behind that. So I asked everybody. I said, well, send me some ideas for each album, and I got some ideas, and I found some of my own, and I did a first edit. A draft, and I sent that out and got some feedback, and
after about like a month and a half.
Oh, after we decided, after nobody else had any feedback, and we started
I actually
learning
listened
it.
to it.
Yeah. So yeah.
He actually listened to it and then took out all the good stuff.
Oh, man.
Check out the bass solo.
And then what we have left is what you hear. Which turned out to be really a very nice. I had a friend come to a show very recently who I wouldn't say is so familiar with our catalog that he would know all these songs. But he says, I was really able to follow the journey. And I thought, well, that's good. Then it's being successful.
Yeah. Mission accomplished. Yeah. And what's the next step for the band? A live album with The Great Adventure in full, or?
Of course.
Yeah.
As always.
It's been scheduled.
Maybe even two.
And what's the plan for Morse Fest 2019?
It'll be announced in March.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so no spoilers as of yet.
No, not as of yet.
And
Coming soon.
Okay.
We're waiting for Styx to respond.
Okay. Sure. And how far ahead do you guys make plans for the band, considering everyone's agendas?
Well, I think for Neal and I, it takes a lot of planning. I'm not trying to say it's not important for the other three as well, but I think with Neal and I, we kind of have to hopscotch three different bands. We have this together, we have Transatlantic together, we have Flying Colors together. So you kind of have to be strategic on, the hopscotching and you have to think ahead. Like Neal and I will have to think ahead. Like that's why we started the Flying Colors album last year. It's like, okay, that needs to follow the Neal Morse Band tour. And so there's a lot of planning. I mean, at least for me and Neal, it's, a lot of times you're thinking a year ahead. Like right now, I pretty much know what I'm doing till the end of 2021. And I'm not making a joke. It's just because you have to. That's the only way you could juggle multiple bands like this.
Yeah. Is the Transatlantic album still scheduled for late summer?
Who knows? Who knows? We'll see.
Okay. Okay, guys. Thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to seeing you on stage in a few hours. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Woo!
That's it, folks. We did it. For the first time ever, all members of the Neal Morse Band interviewed together in the dressing room of the Opera House in Toronto just before their show here on February 21st. We at Sonic Perspectives feel honored and privileged to have had this opportunity to interview them, and we'd like your support. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook and Twitter, and check us out on www.sonicperspectives.com. We're gonna finish now with a song from their latest album, The Great Adventure. Take care and rock on!
We were flying to the distance, but somehow